All right, new day and another laptop that needs to be saved, and this time we have an Alienware M17R5. Now this laptop apparently was working just fine one day, and then stopped working the next day, and now it has no power, no signs of life. I haven't taken a look at this yet. Let's take a look together and see if we can get this figured out. So first thing I want to do is see if it turns on. Let's press the power button. Nothing happens. And so we're not getting any power here. I'm going to reset our power meter because we want to make sure we can see how much power is being pulled when we plug in the charger. So keep an eye on the power meter here. We'll pull up Spike's power meter chart and keep an eye on it. We'll plug it in. It goes to point, it kind of went to 0.1 for a second, but now it's just kind of sitting at 0, but it has a little bit of current there. So I guess it's a fraction of some sort of amperage. I'm going to open and close the lid to see if it does anything different. That's it. So it's kind of flatlining, but it looks like it is kind of checking in occasionally, seeing if it could try to start something. But if it's sitting at 0, that usually means we have some sort of short, usually on the main power rail. And we have our power management chip, which is in charge of charging and powering the laptop. But it's probably detecting a short and shutting off the main power rail and protecting the laptop. So I'm thinking that we probably have a short on the main power rail. That's kind of my guess at this point. So no power button. The lid doesn't do anything. It's not pulling any current. Resting current should be right around 20 milliamps. Which is 0.02. It's not doing that. So we definitely have a short, and we've worked on tons of these M17R5s with shorts on the main power rail, and it's pretty much always some sort of short on the CPU. So we'll see. And the bottom is off. Take a quick look around. Looks like the battery's unplugged. Now this battery right here kind of looks OEM to me, except there's a sticker over the Dell logo, which indicates fake. And there's a box in their package that was an aftermarket Amazon box here that has their original Dell battery in it. So I'm assuming this battery is their replacement battery, which is fake. So this is probably a fake battery, but we got a couple NVMe's here. Looks like one's populated, one's not. We have 2 sticks of 8 DDR5s, and so we can take that out. And then we have our Wi-Fi card and our fans, and the fans look clean. So no issues there. What I want to do is, we have the battery unplugged. Let's plug in the charger and just kind of measure and see how far the voltage is going right here. So the DC jack plugs into the motherboard right here, goes through a couple MOSFETs, and then energizes the main power rail, which kind of produces the other power rails. This machine does run off of 20 volts on its main power rail, and then each one that 20 volts goes to the 5 volt, 3.3, 1.8, 1.05, the CPU, the GPU, the VRAM, all that type of stuff, right? So I'm going to plug that in again. All right, so we are in voltage mode. And you can see the DC jack plugs into the board right here. And so we should have 20 volts coming to the board right there. And we do 20 volts. And that's going to go through these 4 inductors, and we should have 20 volts coming out. Then these are in a pair, right? So they're working together as a team to pass the current through here. And it's going to go through another pair, and then that's going to energize the main power rail, which is right here on this current source resistor. So we do have 20 volts going in there. Do we have 20 volts coming out? We do not have 20 volts coming out. So this is shut off, which means we're not going to have 20 volts here. And we're not going to have 20 volts there, right? So all of that's shut off. And so what that means is we probably have a short right here, I bet. That's just my guess. And usually, if I'm measuring right here and we have like some voltage, like sometimes you'll have 0.02 or half a volt or something like that. Sometimes you'll have half a volt sitting on there with the power rail shut off. And that usually means that there's not a short, but there's a short somewhere else. But anyway, so I'm going to unplug the charger. Charger's unplugged, battery's unplugged. I'm going to go in continuity mode. I'm going to put where the probes beep. There we go. So we can start here again. No short. It's coming through these. And we do have a short right here. The short we have is a, measure it. Can you tell me? 2.09. So 2.09 ohms. All right, so our main power rail is shorted with a 2 ohm short. And if you watched the stream before, I've kind of went through this before and telling you, you take it as a clue to tell you what is shorted. All right, so Nader says CPU, Scott says CPU, Freestone says CPU. That means that a lot of people have been watching the stream, so that is correct. So all symptoms or signs point to CPU when we have a 2 ohm short. So here's what I want you to look at. When you're measuring a main power rail and you are measuring a short, so if you measure to ground and then you measure to the other side, if it's almost 0, then most likely it's like a capacitor or something like that, or a low side MOSFET. If it's like 0.3 or 0.4, then you're looking at a GPU MOSFET's probably shorted, so it's shorting through the GPU. And if you have something that's around 2 ohms to 4 ohms, somewhere around there, we're looking at CPU, okay? If you're at right around 8 ohms, you're like integrated graphics, and it starts moving around after that. It starts getting a little bit weirder. 20 ohms, 20 to 30 is gonna be VRAM, and 50 ohms is gonna be chipset, and you know, it's like that. But right now, 2 ohms, CPU, and it's also this machine. We've seen it millions of times, right? This machine. Right now, we think it's going to have a short on one of the MOSFETs that power the CPU, and so we just need to pull it apart and identify that. Now, if you are one of those people that would just say, well, we got a short, let's inject some voltage. Who is that? Who would want to do that right now? If you watch my streams, you'd be like, no, we got to wait. There's no point in doing it right now. But if you were the new tech who says, I'm measuring a short. I've seen people inject voltage in here. I'm going to inject voltage and see what gets hot. I just bought this shiny new thermal camera. Why can't I see anything getting hot? You can't see anything getting hot because the CPU is what's getting hot, and the CPU is under a heatsink. And the only way to get enough heat coming out of that CPU is to crank the voltage up. And so you'll sit there and keep cranking the voltage up higher and higher and higher until you blow out the CPU, all right? So right now, the motherboard is protecting itself. Oh, the Wi-Fi card could be 2 ohms. Okay, all right, okay. I don't believe that's the case, but we're gonna take out everything, and as we go, we'll check, okay? So I'm gonna remove the SSDs, because it is a good idea to remove items and then check if the main power rail is still shorted. Most of the time, they won't be shorted to the main power rail if it's like a SSD, RAM, things like that. But you'll have lower power rails that are shorted, and then you'll measure those things on there. So I got the SSD out, inject 0.05. So Equinox wants me to inject something right now. So do you think that that will be relevant right now? Because you remember, knowing how much to inject is based on what you're measuring. So if you're measuring 2 ohms, half a volt is not going to produce enough amperage because of Ohm's law, right? So if it's 2 ohms, you have to inject 2 volts maybe, 1.5 volts maybe, in order to even get something to show up. So 1 volt is really my max that I'll get up to. I don't even like going above that. Sometimes I go to 1.2, like, because these CPUs in general can actually go up to 1.3 volts, so it's not like that bad, but you know, there's no point because we don't need to do that. So let me pop this apart and then we will get straight and measure the other areas there. But anyway, my whole point is don't just jump to voltage injection unless you know it's a 0. So like if it says, if you're measuring it and you're like, oh, that's basically 0, then you could do it. But if it's 0.3 or 0.4, then you can't do it still because that's a GPU. I mean, you could still do it, but just you're not gonna see anything. Now for science, I could do it right now, but it's not gonna, I'm just kind of telling you it's a waste of time. All right, the board is out. All right, so let me go ahead and pull all this stuff off. I need to pull the heatsink off, and then we need to get down to the CPU in order to take a look at it and take our measurements and figure out which one of these things are shorted. All right, so we got to be careful when we take off heatsinks for the first time, when they've been on there for a long time. So you always want to do the rocking method, and then you want to only pull from the center. I do not want to see anybody pulling from out here. If you bend one of these pipes, it's done. If they get bent, then they no longer function as heatsinks. So this is a factory application of heatsink compound. No issues there. You see a little bit of pressure on these pads here. And I bet that one of these are probably the shorted MOSFETs, I bet. So we might need to upgrade the pad there. So let's take a look over here. So these are gonna be the MOSFETs I think are probably shorted, one of these 4. So these are all in parallel. This one, this one, this one, and this one, they're all in parallel. They're working together, and you can actually see that right here. So we have the output here, it's tied there, and the output, all of these are tied together as an output, and then they go through and then energize this area to power the CPU. This one is on its own. You can actually see the separator right there, yeah. So this one's on its own, and then these are together. So this is the AMD CPU. It's probably the Ryzen 9 most likely, because that's what always breaks on these. Let's see which one it is. It's a Ryzen 7. I did not expect that. Main power rail is going to come in right here. That's going to be this point. So if we measure here, we have a short of 2.43. If we measure right here, we have a short of 1.7. That's lower. Well, now if we measure from this point to this point, it should be 0. And it is 0. Okay? So you see how we're doing that? So basically, if I'm going from ground to the main power rail, I'm getting a measurement. If I press hard, there we go. Now we're down to 1.6. And if I press hard on this one, we're at 1.6. So that matches. And if we come over here, this is the one that should not be together. Yeah, it's 8 ohms. That's going to be integrated graphics. And then if you just kind of say, okay, I want to see where it is from here to there, see what the resistance is, we can see that it's 0. The harder I press, the better. Most likely the CPU is fine because I've fixed tons of these. So it's going to be one of these are going to be shorted. And so these MOSFETs basically take the 20 volts, they pulse like this, with a PWM signal, and they produce 0.7 to 1.3 volts, something like that. They're all kind of moving around. A lot of times they get hot. The one on the end a lot of times fails. I don't know if it has to do with the way this is set on here, but basically it becomes a wire and just takes the voltage and sends it right through. So we're going to figure out which one it is, but we're not going to, if we just inject voltage on the main power rail and have it go through here, it's going to go through here, it's going to go through the CPU back to ground, and that's what makes 2 ohms or 1.6 ohms. In order to keep that down, we can just go from here to here. So we can inject here and then just have it go through one of these and then go back to ground right here, or the negative of our power supply. And that's called the bypass method. All right, so we're gonna go 0.6 volts, which would probably be 3 amps or something like that. And I'm going to just clip the negative of my voltage injection tool right here. And I'm just gonna choose, it doesn't matter which one I go on because they're all outputs. Doesn't matter, I'm just gonna poke it there. And then we're gonna go thermal. All right, so reflection, let me move out of the way so our reflection's out of the way. And we are going to inject on the main power rail, if I can get a good spot for it. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. And it's number 4. Number 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this one right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and mark it so I have it marked. Now I'm gonna show you the non-bypass method. So here's our CPU, here's our MOSFETs. Now I'm just gonna clip my alligator right on the ground. And so now it's on ground, so that means it's gonna have to come through here, come through this bad MOSFET. We've already identified it's this one. But it's gonna come right through there, and it's gonna take this path, and it's gonna go through the CPU to ground. Now I'm not gonna hurt anything because I'm not gonna keep the voltage high, but I just wanna show you. So if I inject voltage right here, I have barely any amps coming out because it's not pulling enough current for it. So now I'm gonna up the voltage. I was at 0.6 volts. Now I'm gonna go up to 1 volt. And you see the CPU getting warm? You see that? It's barely getting warm. But can I see that MOSFET is actually getting hot? Oh, the MOSFET's actually getting hot. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, that's not normal. Normally the MOSFET would not get that hot. So it actually did show itself up on there. So there you go. That never happens. But my point was, like, if you injected voltage from the very starting, you would not have seen any heat. So that's funny. It just showed up there. All right, so this is our guy right here. We're just gonna take him off of there. Oh, I can smell it. It smells burned. All right, so now that MOSFET's off of there, now we can come back over here and we'll measure the main power rail. All right, so we don't have a short there. This is still gonna measure low, especially because we have it's all hot right here. So we're gonna put a new MOSFET on there. So let me grab one of those. So we're gonna get a brand new 8694, which I have to buy by the bundle because I go through so many of them. All right, so I'm gonna try to line this up. Let's see which ways it goes. We got the 2 marks there. It's gonna go this direction. So the gates break on them. Yeah, that's basically what's happening. They usually get hot and then they just end up shorting out. So the high side shorts. So these are gonna be it's gonna be 2 MOSFETs in one package. And so there's a high side and a low side, and so the high side shorts out. Now I've seen a couple times where the low side shorts out the ground or it shorts straight to ground. Well, I guess that'd be the high and low. And those are nice because then they're just a 0 ohm short, and then you think it's a capacitor. And then you're like, why is it not working? But yeah, so the high side shorts, so therefore when the high side comes in, it just goes straight out the center here. That looks good. Earlier you mentioned that Ryzen chips fail. Is there any reason? Is it the AMD issue? I don't know. It's these boards in general that there's only like 3 or 4 AMD systems that Dell makes, or maybe there's more than that, but because they make really low end, like Inspirons and stuff, but I'm talking about for gaming. So they have a couple of these M15R7s and M17R5s, which are the same board basically, and I see them fail a lot. So I don't know. I mean, the chips aren't failing, I guess, as much as I have seen the chips fail, but it's these MOSFETs are failing and then causing the chips to fail. But usually you have a pretty good chance of the chip being fine here. So I'm gonna let this cool off a little bit. I wanna measure the resistance now. Make sure we're back up to our 1.6. We're back up to 1.6, guys. Look at that. And then our main power rail is not shorted. Okay. All right, so we have it reassembled. Let me go ahead and plug in the power. Let's keep an eye on the power meter. I'm gonna pull up the chart here. Plugged it in, now we got 0.02, 0.03, right around there. So 20 milliamps is gonna be the resting current. Now you did see it jump up to 0.23, that's 230 milliamps. That's usually pre-charged current for the battery. And then after it negotiates with the battery, it's gonna jump up to, I don't know, I think it's charged at 64 watts. So 64 watt charging of the battery. I haven't even turned this thing on yet. So, but I already know that that's a charging thing that we see. If you watch that exact pattern, So 0.202 is good, 0.23 is good. Now when I open this lid, you'll see the current actually drop down because it's going to trigger the machine on, and then it should jump back up after it starts starting up. It didn't even jump down. So it actually kept charging and started the machine. We do have keyboard backlight. I do hear fans. Now the question is, are we going to get a 2-1 error here because we have a bad CPU and it cannot start the CPU? That is the case. It does happen sometimes. A lot of times these MOSFETs do protect the CPU, or it's actually the protection MOSFETs on the input are protecting it, so the power management chip. So right now we're just going to let it go through. We are flatlining. We don't want it to flatline for too long, but it is going through a CMOS reset, so it should move around. So it's 90 watts flat. I don't like that. But these do take a little bit of time to go through a whole CMOS reset, turn off, turn on, turn off, turn on. So we're going to let it go through that process. We are up to 130 watts, which is really good. Still a chance that we could have a bad CPU, like it's trying to start it up and then kicks it off. Oh, we got a picture, I can't believe! All right, so we were able to resolve the issue with this. So we found that the main power rail was shorted. A 2 ohm short or 1.6 ohm short did point us in the right direction without even having to take the whole thing apart. We already knew that it was going to be somewhere CPU related. Once we got to the CPU, we were able to identify which MOSFET was shorted out. We changed that MOSFET. It actually resolved the issue. Of course, I will take apart the whole laptop, clean out, do all new thermal paste, clean the fans, make it brand new again before I ship it out. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this one, and thanks for watching.
I saved another laptop!